Surprise, guys! This is the lifeboat, and I am not a captain, but you get me tonight, you poor souls. Anyway, yeah, Tommy was going to come on here at the beginning and give you guys a little bit of information about some of the changes that are coming to the channel. And we couldn't make the Zoom thing work, so you just get me. Sorry, guys, but I will do my best. I hope everybody's doing well. And let's see, I just want to welcome everybody that's there, especially anybody that's new. And oh, sorry, I am Heather Joy, by the way. I have my own channel, aka Heather Joy, but this is where my heart is with you guys. And so you get me today. Anyway, um, a couple of you guys I know saw my video that I did last week when I was on the beach in Jacksonville, and I was referring to this book. And yeah, you get to see it backwards, but anyway, it's the rewire. It's how to rewire your brain from addiction, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And I told you guys that I wanted to talk to you about authenticity, and that's what you get tonight. But before I go into it, I need to I'm going to use myself as an example to explain a lot of these things. And I know some of you have heard my story before, but some of you haven't. So you poor souls that have already heard it, you have to hear it again. I won't go all that in depth, but um, I just want to pull out my notes so I don't forget anything. So I also can everybody hear me okay? Can you guys give me a 5x5 or something? I just want to know if you guys can hear me all right. All right. Okay. Thank you, Noise Opera. And everybody else. Okay. I've lived in Utah my entire life. I've been raised here, and as a lot of you know, this state is full of members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I am one of them. I've been raised that way, and I completely devoted to it. That's where my heart is. I believe it. I practice it. It's such a big part of my life, and it always has been. That's been a huge part of my upbringing. And I'm the oldest of four children, and the family that I come from, my mother is actually Australian, and my father was from here. And he met her on a mission to Australia. He met her there, and she ended up coming here in '69. They got married, and about 9 months later, I was born. um, anyway, there's been, my whole life. I remember, even as a little girl, I've been very, very sensitive to everything. You look at me wrong, or you use the wrong tone of voice, and it totally crushes me. Even I'm 52, and this morning, my husband and I got in an argument because of the way he answered me, and I thought he was angry with. Long story, but I'm just really sensitive. And the parents that I come from, they both had some issues, and I'm not going to go into them for my families. I don't think they're ever going to see this, but there are some things that I know that have happened that my they don't know that I know about, but I know that is the reason for a lot of the nonsense that went on in the house that I grew up in. There were, like I said, there were lots of issues, and there were also a lot of money problems. We were poor farmers, just the way it is. Money was always a really hard thing, and it was so that my parents were always fighting about money and about all kinds of other things. I was really sensitive to that. I picked up on all the stress that they were feeling. I really did. And I found, I remember, 6, 7, 8 years old being depressed. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I do now. I recognize that's what was wrong, but I just had a really hard time growing up just because of the stuff that went on, the fighting and I saw some scary things and that were really traumatic, and um, my dad was a truck driver on top of when he could farm, and he was gone a lot, and that left, 4 kids to my mother to take care of alone, and she found that incredibly stressful. And I learned really quickly as the oldest, I felt like it was my job to take care of everybody and try to keep mom happy. And, because I couldn't stand the feeling in the house. I hated that, anytime anything little would upset my mother, did anything I could to try and make things better. And, that was just the way it was. And, I things kind of just continued that way, up until when I was 11 years old. I got in a really, really bad accident as a kid. And on our farm, I got hit by this truck, got dragged down this gravel road, and it took all the skin off of the bottom of my legs, off one of my elbows, like all over my face. It knocked my helmet off. I had this huge laceration on my head, and I had to shave my head to stitch my head up. Just there were all kinds of things. I ended up with many, many, many surgeries, so many skin grafts and things like that. And it was a really rough time. I wasn't supposed to survive it, and this occurred like in 1982, and I live in a rural area. I live very near actually now where I grew up then. We didn't have life flight, anything like that then, and they just got me to a hospital and put me in an ambulance and sent me up north, up to northern Utah. They didn't think I'd even make the ride, but I actually did. Um, it was. I just remember watching my parents go, seeing the condition that I was in, because I if I know somewhere somebody's got pictures of what I look like and what my legs look like and everything. And it was, I mean, when my friends first saw me after the accident, it freaked them out. It was bad. And so my parents, hear their daughter almost dies, and they see her in the hospital and how horrible she looks, and it was incredibly stressful for them. And I picked up on that. The guilt I felt for putting my parents through that, just, oh my word, just I didn't know how to deal with it, and in hospital with all the surgery and all the injuries, I was given a lot of pain medications, and I figured out very quickly that all the Demerol they were giving me took away the pain, but it also took away all the mental anguish and all the emotional pain I was feeling, and I never forgot that. And one of my doctors even addressed it while I was still in the hospital, that he thought I was becoming addicted. It was, and I know I had like 3 different plastic surgeons, and they were all arguing amongst each other because 2 of them just could not bear to see children in pain, and so they kept me on it. But after all my injuries and all the surgeries were finally done, and I was healed, I was able to leave all of that stuff behind. But I don't know if you guys, how much you guys know about the church I belong to, but we have something called the Word of Wisdom, which instructs us how we should treat our bodies. It explains that we should be eating lots of fruits and vegetables, sparingly with meat. Just gives a lot of very good directions, and of course, no drugs, no alcohol, no coffee, things like that. And like I said, I was raised that way, and I've always believed it. And I just want you to keep that point in mind, okay? um, it was. I wish now that that after that accident I had been in, I wish that my parents would have put me in counseling. I think that might have corrected a lot of the problems that I have experienced later, but who knows? But, doesn't really matter now. What's done is done. But, things just kept going on in our household the way they always had. Things got really ugly sometimes, really crazy. My mother had a difficult time regulating her emotions, and I know that mental illness runs on both sides of our family. I could definitely see that in both of them. The way she would just lose her temper and just lose it, and the things that she would yell at you, the things she would say, and the way she would tear you down. Um, and it was just, I don't think she even realized what she was doing a lot of the time and how bad it would hurt you. I don't know, but it was really rough at times. And what was really hard, I think, I would have much preferred her to take everything out on me than what I saw going on, the way that she treated my father and the way she tore him down. And the older I got, the more, dads, I hope she never hears this, but it's the truth. I used to wish that my dad would leave her and divorce her, and I would go with him, because I felt like when he was home, he was the only thing between me and my mother. And, it was really rough, but I just watched him fall into depression, and it just ripped him up, tore him down. The things that she would say was was awful. It was really stressful. And then my, about the time, right after I turned 16, no, right after I turned 17, we found out that my dad had cancer. Oh boy. And it hit so hard and so fast. I think we discovered over Christmas of, oh good grief, um, 88, no, 87, Christmas of 87, we discovered he had cancer. And by next May, he was dead. I mean, it was just, wow. And I felt like the only one that could protect me from everything that I felt was coming from my mom was gone. And it wasn't just that, but my mother's world was falling apart. All of our lives were. We just felt like everything was falling apart. And I'll never forget. At his funeral, all of these people. I mean, my dad. Oh my goodness, he had so many friends. And I remember the viewing the night before his funeral. We were there forever. People would come through the line, and they would stop because I was the oldest one. They talked to my mom, and then I was right next to her, and they put their hands on my shoulders and say, "Take care of your mother." And I kept thinking, what are you telling me that for? You know, I didn't say anything, but in my head, who's going to take care of me? You know, oh, it was so frustrating. But of course, I could see how bad off she was, and how bad off my family was. And I felt, I had to take care of my brothers and sisters. And, after he died, it was just even more of bending forwards and backwards and, just contorting myself, anything I could do to try and keep her happy. I couldn't wait to graduate from high school and get the heck out of there. Like I said, I hope she's not. I never hears this, but I'm just telling you the truth. It's what I felt. You know, um, I ended up really developing a bad codependency with my mother, even after I left home. But something else I need to let you know about me is, and please don't misunderstand. I'm not bragging here, but okay. What is, everybody has their different love languages, and one of mine is, I love to for people to tell me they appreciate the things that I do for them. I need to hear that. That's one of my love languages. So much of my life, until I left home, all I wanted was to hear from my parents, "You did a good job at anything," And so my whole life, from the time I was just little, all through, all through high school, I did my very best, my very best. And it was really cool. My best friend and I, we both graduated as co-valedictorians, and I worked my butt off to get there. And, because I had reached that point and I'd earned a scholarship and everything, and so many people expected so much of me. I expected so much of myself, and right after after high school graduation, I went right off to college. Like, I didn't wait for the summer. I went that summer semester, and I got married for the first time shortly after. Never taking care of all of the mental chaos that was going up here. It wasn't it was tough. And here we're newlyweds. We're trying to make a living, and we're both in school, and I end up having my first child, and um, I ended up going, getting through nursing school, and I started working, but it was kind of between having my daughter and my second nursing job. I started to be tempted by all of the narcotics I was working around. And I remember very well the feeling that they would give me and the escape that it was for me. Never forgot that. So when I could, I would take a few things from work. I never took it if a patient needed it, but still, that doesn't make it right. And I would get prescriptions for myself whenever I could. If friends had some, I would swipe them. If family had them, I'd swipe them. I really destroyed relationship with some of my family because of stuff like that. But I that's when I really got into it, and it went on for a long time. I'd have periods where I would, be able to leave it alone and get on with my life, but I always came back to it. And I even went back to school later because I love English and literature so much, and I went and worked on my English degree, and but the whole time, it was just there was always the addiction, and just all of the problems, just all of the dumb things we do when we're high, all the irresponsible, idiotic things we would never do in our sound mind. All of those things. It destroyed my marriage, and by at that point, I had two daughters, and I had a really bad overdose when my ex-husband was supposed to be. Um, what was it called? It was the Olympics, when the Olympics were in Utah, and he was in the National Guard, and he was supposed to be there helping, or I don't even remember. I just know he was away, and I had a big overdose, ended up in the hospital and everything, and he'd had it. And I don't blame him, but I just felt like my life was absolutely falling apart. And you would think, that a divorce and the possibility of losing custody of my daughters, now that would be enough of a wake up call. But no, no. And I later ended up getting remarried, and I told my husband that I'm with now. I told him right away, my whole history and about my addiction and all the issues I'd had. He knew, I don't think he realized. He had no idea what it was going to be like. He had no idea. But I kept up the same behaviors and the same thing, and but it wasn't just that, but I also, the injury I had to my head when I was in that accident as a kid, really threw me for a loop. Really made my depression and all my mental issues so much worse. And so, the whole time with my first husband and the husband I'm with now, I was in and out of psych wards, and I have even had, I don't even know how many times I have had ECT now. I've tried everything, trying to feel better. And, there was just, my depression is just so hard to treat. And, I've tried to off myself many times, I just, because any of you that struggle with depression, when it gets bad, you know what that's like. And you will do anything to try and escape that pain. And, so I just, I had kept all of that up. And I think it was when I had spent 6 months in the state hospital, which I really hate to admit. There you go. And it was shortly after that I ended up back in the hospital because of my addiction. And they had finally decided this girl needs rehab. And they found me a bed in a place in northern Utah. And I went and I ended up there for 6 months. Oh boy, I learned a lot. Um, and once I got out, I did relapse once after that. But I'm kind of excited. April 8th, this year, it will be 15 years of being clean and sober. And, you know, I'm, I'm happy that I've been able to keep it this long. But, there's, I just want to, I kind of want to use myself, like I said, as an example, because I want to talk about masks. I told you this was going to be about authenticity. Okay, I'll tie this all into everything I've already told you. But before we go there, I want you to think for a minute. And if you are now sober, you know, even if it's just a few days, but what was it that made you decide that you want to be done with your addiction and you want to be sober? Have you hit your bottom? Because for a lot of us, that's what it takes. And I think for me, it was realizing that I might not have my husband that I am with now. He didn't know if he wanted to stay with me after everything I put him through, because he's been through so much childhood trauma too. He's got his own issues. He doesn't need my crap anymore. That was part of it. But also what really, really made me wake up was how much I hated myself. And I started thinking about who I am and what my beliefs are and what my values are, what my goals are, what I expect of myself, what my family um, would like to see. I don't really think about that too much anymore. But I was thinking about all these things, what I was going to lose, and I was losing myself. And for me, I think that was my bottom. You know, when I realized and I really looked at myself and I thought, I hate who I've become. That's not who I am. That's not who I really am inside. And I knew that. And I think that's when I really finally woke up, and I thought, this is not why I came to earth, to live like this. I have things to do. I so that was my bottom. So I want you guys to think for a minute. What have you found your bottom? Was it external? Like a DUI, a divorce? Was it internal? Like just self-loathing or something? Sometimes it's a combination. I mean, usually it is a combination. That when we hit that bottom. But I want you to think about that, and then I want to just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Okay, it's really important to identify your bottom, and the reason is because you can use that bottom as a guidepost. Now you know you've got to go up and out. You know, it's kind of a guidepost, so you can kind of map your way back into your real life and into who you really are. It's really important that you identify what is your bottom. Okay, Um, let's see. Okay, I got 10 more minutes. I'm working, so I've got to get back to work in 10 minutes. Gonna get this done here. Um, if you guys saw the thumbnail, it said, you know, what mask are you wearing? Okay. Um, one of the first things you need to consider, once you've identified your bottom, is, you know, am I wearing a mask? Am I being my authentic self? I want you to really think about that. Who are you really? What makes you happy? What are your talents? What are your hobbies? What things give you joy? What things are you drawn to? What are your values? Everybody has different values, different talents, different personalities. We're all raised differently. We have different DNA, different, everything's, we're all different. And that's what's so beautiful, is because when we all come together, with everybody having their talents. Hey, Ted. When you can bring those together, you can help each other, and that's what's so wonderful about the lifeboat. Anyway, um, but when we are addicts, we really do. We put on a mask. And for me, a lot of the time, the masks that I have worn for so long, and I still am having to constantly take it down, is I would wear this mask, as a people pleaser. I would do anything to avoid confrontation or tension because I feel it. I can feel other people's emotions, and I get exhausted from it a lot of the time, But that would be the mask I would wear, and I would bend myself and contort myself to make people happy, to avoid any kind of contention. I hated it, but it wasn't being true to myself. If I didn't want to do something or I didn't feel right about something, I would do it anyway just to keep people happy. And I've done that in my life until, rather recently, actually. I have always felt responsible for everyone around me. Like I'm responsible for their emotions, is how I've always felt. And I'm finally learning I don't have to do that anymore. I need to be true to me. What's important to me. I've got to take that mask down and remember, these are my values, these are my talents, these are my hobbies, these are my goals. Nobody else's. You know, the only one that is more important to me and my sobriety is my God. And that's me. That's how I prefer to live my life. And it's so freeing to put that addiction behind you and become who you really are. So I want you to really think, what kind of mask are you wearing? Because it's not just, being your authentic self, but it's also, what kind of mask are you wearing for people when you're in your active addiction? Because we put on a different face. We pretend to be something that we're not. We pretend like we're sober and we're fine and everything's great, and a lot of people, if they know you, can see right through it. But we're addicts are very good at wearing many kinds of masks. And I believe that until you can, you know, really come to know yourself again, you're not going to be able to be comfortable in your own skin. Tommy brings that up a lot. When you don't feel comfortable in your own skin, well, that's probably because there's something you're not doing, or you're doing that's not being true to yourself. Does that make? I hope that makes sense. You know, um, and it's not an easy thing to take that mask down either. We all have many different reasons why we put those masks on, but you got to take that off, and it takes a long time to figure out who am I really and what's really important to me, and it takes a lot of journaling, which I know some of you don't like. It takes a lot of journaling, a lot of introspection. It takes a lot of, for me, paying attention to my dreams, or meditation and prayer are also good ways of really getting in touch with that core inside you, because inside everybody you have your authentic self. And when you can put the masks down and you get in touch with that flame that is inside you, that will guide you to whatever you need in your life to help you be happy. And but you've got to take those masks down, and it's a process. It's nothing you can just do like that. It does take time, and it's not comfortable. For a lot of people, wearing masks makes them feel safe. And everybody, I'm sure that any kind of change, even if it's for the best, if it's good, it's not going to be comfortable for a while. It's going to be extremely uncomfortable. But that's what you got to do. You know, you've got to be true to yourself. You've got to take the masks down, and not betray yourself anymore. That's I think that's the first really important thing, is to get in touch with who you really are again. And like I said, it's been almost 15 years, and I'm still figuring out sometimes who I really am. I mean, I have a really good handle, I think, on what I want to accomplish with the rest of my life now, and what's most important to me, and who I want to answer to. And for a lot of the relationships that I have, um, that are detrimental to my mental health and my sobriety, I've had to learn to, you know, keep people at a distance, even some of my family. But these are all things that you have to do, um, in learning to be completely authentic again. And it takes a lot of honesty. Um, Sometimes that's not easy either. But that's actually the next step in this book that I've been reading, is honesty. But let me just make sure I haven't skipped anything that I really wanted to share with you guys. Um, I did want to read you this quote. It's by Roy T. Bennett. It says, "If you don't know who you truly are, you'll never know what you truly want." I think that's very true. I sure found that out for myself. But let me see. Okay, that 2 minutes. Ooh. Okay. Um, there's actually, I think I'm going to do a second part on this, because I just realized there's a lot of good stuff I really want to go into with you guys. Anyway, I do want to give you a journal prompt that I found in this book, and I really, really like this. And if you're willing to do it, I think it will really help. I'll just read it to you. It says, "Each one of us is fundamentally unique through our DNA, through the configuration of our brain, and through our life experiences. This uniqueness can be traced back to early childhood by the way we were particularly drawn to certain activities and subjects. For example, perhaps we were drawn to things like words, music, or particular questions about the world around us. Essentially, we look at life with unaltered curiosity and fascination. Remember that when you were a kid? Everything was so new and so fascinating. It's so almost magical. Um, Essentially, we looked at life with unaltered curiosity and fascination. Reflect on your earliest memories of life. Okay, now here's the questions. What sparked your curiosity and fascination with the world around you? I'll say that again. What sparked your curiosity and fascination with the world around you? Think way back, when you were just little. What brought you joy? What were you interested in? What were you fascinated with? That's a way of getting to your core, you know? Anyway, examine and reflect on when and where in life you may have lost touch with these earliest inclinations. And how might you recapture your curiosity and fascination with life? And I think that's a really good journal prompt right there. Seriously, to get in touch with that authentic self inside you. And just as an example here, I was thinking about this a few days ago. Um, what I get excited about when I was a little kid? Well, animals, definitely. Music. Oh boy, music, music, music. I love to sing, play the piano, and a couple of instruments, things. Love stuff like that. And books, literature. Yeah, make me feel alive. And um, those are things that I've always loved. Please think about those things for yourselves. And please, take the time and write this out in your journal. Um, you know, it's a good way to start to get in touch with that authentic self. Because if you are not being true to yourself, you're not going to feel comfortable in your own skin. It's going to lead back to using again or drinking. Whatever your addiction is. Um, Actually, you guys, if give me a minute, give me like 3 minutes, and I'll be right back, and then I'll go through the chat if that's okay. Haha! Didn't take as long as I thought. Anyway, um, let me go through chat here and see what's going on. Um, Gosh, we got lots of people in here. Dial it back a little bit. All right, we got Leisure, number 7, Noise Opera, Southern Grace, Sarah Normally, Darren Huckabee, Diary of a Madman, Miss Wee, Franklin, Zenwin, Dennis, Blue Dazzlebug, Cultivate Curiosity, M. Hunt, Mark, Virginia, Schrodinger Squirrels here, Clunky Dong. Um, let's see, who else? Did I say Franklin? I don't remember. Let's see. I just don't want to miss anybody, but let's see if there are any. Well, let me just go back here. Are there any questions you guys have for me? You'd like, you would like to know? Oh, Miss Dragon's here too! Yay! And Stand for Truth? All right. Okay, let's see. I let's see. Awakens here. I missed you. I'm sorry. Let's see. I I know I saw a question here earlier. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, well, I don't. Oh wait, I remember what it was. Somebody asked me how I met Tommy. How many months ago has it been now? Haven't been that many months. It was maybe 3, 4 months ago. I started the job, the nursing job I have now, and I quit nursing because I did not want to be tempted working around the narcotics again. Um, Didn't want to do that. I I left it behind. I thought until a very good friend. Her parents are in their 90s, and she was just killing herself. And she owns the gym that we go to, and she was just, oh, she was just overwhelmed trying to run that business and take care of her parents and just take care of herself because it's exhausting. And she had asked me like months and months before it even started if I knew anybody that could help. And I said, well, I'll think about it and I'll let you know if I can think of anybody. And deep inside, something was whispering to me, "You need to do it." And I thought, no, 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 I don't want to. I don't want to do that. And I let it go for a few months. And she asked me again, and I thought, oh, okay, because I felt the same thing inside again. You need to go take care of her parents. And so I started this job. And the same week that I started, I wasn't looking for the lifeboat. I wasn't looking for anything like that. It just popped up on my feed. Not kidding. It was just there. I didn't look for it. So and I just knew. I mean, I watched the first time I watched it, I thought, my goodness, there is something so different about this. You guys, I was in rehab for 6 months. Been to so many meetings. This is this meeting, what this like what thing is better than anything I've ever been to. And Tommy knows more about addiction than any counselor I have ever talked to. I kid you not. But anyway, that was how I, found him, and it was just, I just felt like it was meant to be. And after watching that, it just kind of energized me. I always knew I wanted to start my own channel, and I've done that too. But my brain just went. But that's how I. Oh dear, let me get rid of that. Anyway, that's how I kind of found them, and I just got busy. Started doing some videos, and I don't know, just got that's how I got wrapped up in all this. And I have to say, I love it. I really do. And there's nothing like the lifeboat. It really is a family. There's something very different about that, and I love the boat, and I love all you guys. This is really an awesome thing. And as I had said at the beginning, Tommy would be talking to you guys tomorrow. I don't know if it's in the morning or whenever he's going to tell you, but there will be some really cool changes that are coming, and I'm really excited about it. I'll tell you what, you guys, we're going to save lives, and it's going to be amazing. But, let me just make sure. Oh, what book am I reading from? This is the workbook that goes with it. It's oh, what is the name of the actual book that I just read it? It's by a lady named Erica Spiegelman. She's a counselor out of the LA area, I believe, but she overcame alcoholism, and the principles that she used, she's written the book about. And let me go grab it, and I can tell you the exact name of it. You again. Okay, oh, that's easy. Just rewired. It's Erica Spiegelman, and I really like this one. I love to read um, all kinds of books, but this has been a really fun one. I have one more chapter to finish, but I really like this workbook too because it really helps you um, really put into practice the things you're reading about, and it really helps you think about them. And there's just something about writing too that really reinforces everything up here. But I hit you on a whole different level tonight. Oh, well, that's awesome. Let's see. Weekend says, mouse got so happy that I literally could feel it shattering. I I'm still picking up the pieces, but the hardest thing was realizing I've been wearing the mask. Where did it go? It just the chat just jumped. Um, Realizing who I'd been of. Let's see. Slow down here. Yeah. Where did it go? But the hardest thing was realizing I'd been wearing the mask even to myself. Who was I? Still learning. Yeah. Yep. I completely understand. You know. Anyway, I have really got to get back to work now. But it's nice to talk to everybody. And yeah, this probably wasn't what you were expecting when Tommy said he had a special guest speaker. Anyway, um, I hope you guys have a great night. I really have got to get praying for you all. I pray for everyone on the lifeboat multiple times a day. You know, you guys hang in there. Please be your own best friend. You know, if we had a friend that we saw going through the throes of addiction, what would you want for them, and how would you want them to take care of themselves? Do that for yourself. Please, be your own best friend. It's the best thing you can do. And sobriety is so important. Please don't let anything get in the way of that. Okay. Love you guys. I will talk to you again soon.